Get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a viewer replay. This is one I've kind of been sitting on for, I don't know, 2 weeks maybe. Probably longer. I've had it in mind that this would be my next viewer replay, and then of course all the computer stuff happened, so you know, that was annoying. But here it is finally. This is from TJ00139, who I think he's on NA. I'm pretty sure Reddit X is an NA clan, because they have a lot of Reddit clans on NA. We'll just call him TJ, I think, rather than, you know, 00139. Yeah, that's a little bit clunky. Yeah, let's just go with TJ. So, he's in the AMX 5100, and he's top tier, which is rather nice. I mean, it's an effective tank, I think, even in tier 10 battles, but you have to be even more cautious than you are when you're top tier. And it's pretty good matchmaking, all things considered. I mean, there's a couple of tier 8s at the top. There's maybe a third of the team tier 8s, and the rest are all lower tiers. So, he's actually going to do... I mean, normally in a heavy tank you'd head up to the middle and you'd face off against opponents, and you kind of don't want to play the 5100 like that, though. It's got the firepower of a heavy tank with the mobility of a medium and really the armour of a light, but it's not any of those things. It is in fact a shark. A beautiful, deadly shark that, if it stops swimming for even a moment, will probably just sink to the bottom of, you know... I don't know where this analogy is going, but just, you know, whatever. So he's going to the middle, and it's not an ideal choice, because this thing has not got good gun depression. But I think he's more interested in spotting at this stage, and just, you know, if he gets the opportunity to do some damage, then that's all well and good as well. Because, of course, the big massive advantage of autoloaders, and also at the same time disadvantage, the thing that makes them lopsided, is the ability to do burst damage, to unload a lot of shots very quickly, but the counterbalance to that is, of course, you then have a very long reload. And for the 5100, as you can see with the Jimbos, it's nearly a minute. 47, nearly 48 seconds. So you either have to be able to run away and be safe somewhere in the meantime, or you actually have to rely on your teammates to give you cover while you're, you know, reloading. So it can be kind of team dependent, and I think that's the same with any auto-loader. But I don't know, I don't have the 1390, I don't have any of the American auto-loaders. Well, I say I don't have any of them, I've got the T71. Light tanks, slightly different. But I was going to say something there. I was making a point and I forgot what the point is. But anyway, regardless, he's in a I'm so good at this. He's in a decent position, and he's just looking to do some damage. That was quite a low roll on that Stuart. And unfortunately he misses that last shell. But it doesn't really matter. The 12T, if it came forward, actually could do him some hurt, but the 12T presumably doesn't know that. He doesn't know how many shots that TJ has fired, so he's playing it cautious. Because there's nothing worse than thinking, oh yeah, somebody's fired all their shots in an autoloader, and then you come round and then, surprise, they've got like 3 shells waiting for you. So yeah, he's been quite cautious. He's seeing what the people in the village spot. He can't really do anything about the other flank right now. Ideally, what you would do, of course, is come up round behind them and put in some hurt and then withdraw while you reload, but there's evidently some stuff defending the base. There's a couple of tier 7s. There's that 12T, who I'm not quite sure what he was doing, but it was just in time for TJ to reload, and there we go. So there's a pair of tier 7s defending the base. The Type 59 makes the mistake of trying to get across that water there, and it slows you down enough that, yeah, he just dies in the process. TJ is taking this opportunity to move up, though, either to get round behind the main group of enemies that are to his left, or to get to the cap, clear out that side, and then lay some hurt down. And he's clearly not quite decided. So he's just looking, again, targets of opportunity, and if you can hurt that tiger while the tiger's not looking, well, that would be one less thing shooting at him. That would make the cap easier to clear out, but unfortunately the guy gets to cover. Of course, the thing with the French autoloaders especially is that you reload before the aiming circle can actually close fully. Oh, artillery. Yeah, that's worth taking out. No, unless he rolls high. No, he doesn't. Okay, never mind. I personally would have stayed to finish off the artillery and just taken the hit. Because he took a hit anyway. and the artillery is still alive, and the artillery is potentially a big threat, especially when you're in a French tank. So now this is tricky. He's going for a reload because one shell is pretty much worthless, unless he gets, you know, really lucky. He has got a lot of backup, but yeah, in this circumstance you would reload, because with one shell in the clip you fire it and then you've got to reload anyway, at which point they know you're reloading and you're just helpless. This way, at least, they don't quite know what he's doing. Maybe they think he's waiting for backup, or I don't know, but he's got a bit of leeway, and they're not pushing on him. And he does actually have a bit of backup in the form of the 12T and the 3001P. Not the most scary tanks, they are both tier 6, but it's better than nothing. He is now at a serious disadvantage, though, because he's fighting a Chinese medium, which has got a pretty good turret, and he's basically fighting this guy while he's hull down. And there's no such thing as hull down in a French tank. Not even in the tier 6 and 7 French tanks. Even the tier 5 French tank, you know, they do not have good turrets as a general rule of thumb. So he just accepts he's going to take the hit. Fortunately, the Tiger crits him rather than damages him. Tries to get last one in the T-34-1, but it tracks him. However, that buys him enough time, just a couple of seconds, to actually back down. And the T-34-1's actually used his repair kit there, but it's enough. So it was, in a way, possibly more fortunate that he tracked the T-34, because he was never going to one-shot the guy, unless he was absurdly lucky. Because, actually no, I don't think you could one-shot somebody with 504 health. The highest roll you could get with this gun would be, I think, 500. So you would never do that. So the 3001P's moved up, the 12T is dead, unfortunately. Artillery's still alive, and that is a big threat, but presuming artillery hasn't moved, there is a destructible house between him and Arty, so he's got that going for him. Artillery might also be focusing elsewhere, you never know. Oh, hello, SU-100. Doesn't have a big gun, but doesn't matter because he doesn't get the chance to use it. The GW has actually fired and killed the 3001P, because the 3000 wasn't behind cover. And here he gets a bit cautious. I don't know why he doesn't go for it. The guy was reloading, and instead he chooses to fight a hull-down French tank, hull-down Chinese tank rather, and that's not really a good plan. But fortunately the guy does something silly. I mean, he's kind of panicking a bit here, I think, but that T-34-1 missed 2 shots, and if he'd hit them both, TJ would be dead right now. So that was really lucky for TJ. And the fact that he then sat still long enough that TJ could snipe his commander's hatch, well, that was even more lucky. So he'd be dead right now, but not if not for the fact that T-34-1 had... he seriously misplayed that last, 20-30 seconds there. So now we're in an interesting situation. 12-12. There's an IS-3 left. There's 2 enemy heavies left, but they're both really low health. He's nearly reloaded. There's the GW Panther. He will have been spotted though, and he wants to take out the GW, but the fact that he's got that little bit left on his reload, I don't think this was a good risk to take, honestly. He gets away with it, 59 health, and manages to blind shot the GW, but things are a bit more interesting now. Potentially he could have survived a hit from either of the remaining heavies, but now he really can't. He can't afford to take any damage from either of them. So, I don't know. I think that was a misplay a bit. I personally would have... I don't know what I would have done there, actually. It's kind of tricky, to be honest, because if you can try and get round behind the IS-3 and the Carnarvon, and if they've stuck together, that would have been difficult anyway, and you would have had an artillery at your back. I don't know. Maybe I would have just tried to get our Arty to shoot them, but our Arty, as you can see, is wisely not hanging around the cap. He's actually relocating elsewhere, and when you're in French Arty, that's a lot easier than, say, something Russian or American, although some of the American Arties are reasonably mobile. So there we go, Carnarvon, he just fires a complete snapshot. He's never gonna... well, I say he's never gonna hurt a hull-down Carnarvon, it's unlikely. And this is kind of one of the rare occasions where actually a clip of HE shells... yeah, but you still have to sit and aim them, and that's a bit, it's a bit of a tricky proposition when you're this low health. If he'd had his previous hit points, the 400 plus, he could have taken a hit from a Carnarvon, but he really can't now. So he's being cautious. He thinks maybe the IS-3 is flanking around from the other direction, but lo and behold, they have split up. They have done a silly thing, and he can take maximum advantage of this. Now, he can either try and clean up the Carnarvon on the way, or he can just try and whiz back, and I think he decides he's going to try and get back because it's going to be cutting it tight. There's only one on the cap, but of course this is just normal battle mode, so yeah, he decides not to take the shot. That's never going to... Well, I say never going to pen, it's extremely unlikely. It is possible to pen that turret, but it's difficult. Our artillery fires and misses, and he's wasted like 15 seconds here. He should have just kept going, really. I mean, I know he was looking for the shot, but really I think he should have just ploughed on. As it is, this is a tall order. Now he could just keep going straight, and it really depends where the IS-3 is. And instead he chooses to go up here, and that's gonna be fortuitous, but oh boy, does he end up cutting it fine. Now you'll see why it's going to be fortuitous, and that if he had gone the other way, although it probably would have been faster, you'll see from the IS-3's position that actually he might have died, and the IS-3 is probably expecting him to come that way, because you'll see this is getting really tight now. 14 seconds, 13, can he do it? Hopefully artillery is also aimed at the cap, but the artillery would have a very short window. There we go, and you see where the IS-3 is parked, and clearly expecting him to come the other way, and he actually has time to sit and aim, and that last second decap. Oh, and by the way, did you spot that message at the end there? Enemy Carnarvon has crashed. Yep, that enemy Carnarvon, who was on I don't even know what health, but very low health, clearly decided he was going to drop down and try and be sneaky and come round behind TJ's 5100. It didn't work out so well, so there we go. The enemy Carnarvon took care of himself, and TJ didn't even have to bother. So that was a bit nail-biting at the end there. TJ was pretty lucky. I think the latter part of the battle, I think it was just one of those situations where the adrenaline's going and your hands are a little bit shaky and you're thinking, if I just screw this up a little bit, then it could all go horribly wrong. And it almost did go horribly wrong. If that artillery had splashed him for a little bit more, then that would have been it, game over, pretty much. I mean, our arty may have pulled it out of the bag, but probably not. Looking at what our arty did in terms of damage, you know, he did some damage, but I suspect he would have just run away rather than actually try and take the guy out. So I think his mistake with artillery, I think his mistake was actually not killing him when he had the chance earlier, when he took that first shot at artillery. And yes, if he'd rolled high, it would have been nice if he'd nailed the guy with one shell. But personally, oh sorry, I keep nudging my microphone. Clearly I'm just out of practice with this whole talking malarkey and not banging the microphone. If he just accepted that he was going to take a hit from the T-34-2 and polished off that artillery, the T-34-2, you know, he would have lost less health to that guy than he would have to artillery. And then again at the end, when he was fighting that hull down T-34-2, I don't know, that was it was not the smartest thing to do. And in the end, it was the T-34, not the T-34-2, the T-34-1's mistakes that let TJ actually take him. But all the same, I mean, that was pretty nail-biting, and I was watching that the very first time round, and basically on the edge of my seat thinking, oh my god, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? And then you get to that kind of comedy ending where the Carnarvon actually manages to jump down and kill himself just at the last second. Well, that's just the icing on the cake, really, isn't it? So, there you go. The shark lived. I don't know where I was going with that analogy. If I'd thought it through, I probably could have thought of something smart to say, and you know, made some Shark Week jokes. That's a thing apparently on the internet. I have no idea what Shark Week is, but you know, it's a thing on TV in America apparently, where I don't know, people are ritually sacrificed to sharks for a week, or I'm not quite sure how it works, to be honest, but hey, people are a bit strange in America, so there you go. So, if you enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.